Hi guys, this is Jack from ChineseLongsword.com. This is a special video to commemorate the 9th year of this website. So in this video, we will be solving the mystery of the Berry Head and Intercave stances. These two are the third and fourth stances in the Chinese Long Saber manual, which is the first manual that I worked on 9 years ago. So when I first picked up this manual, right, I noticed that these two stances look very similar. I mean, you can see from the picture here. So for the Berry Head stance, the hand is on the blade, while for the Intercave stance, the hand is underneath the blade. But in any case, these two stances can do the job of whatever technique that was written in the manual. So why is there a need to separate them into two separate stances? Okay, so that's the first question. Okay, the second question is why are they positioned as the first combat stance? Because the first two stances are actually about drawing the blade. So these two, the Berry Head and the Intercave, are actually the third and fourth stances, but they are the first two combat stances. Okay, so we will be solving the mystery of why does these two stances look so similar, as well as why they are the first two combat stances. Now the answer is actually found in the first manual that the author, Master Cheng has written, which is 绝章心法. Now, the long saber and the spear manual are actually the next two manuals after the crossbow manual. So in the crossbow manual, it actually talks about how to make a crossbow as well as the formational tactics. Okay, so every soldier will be armed with a crossbow, and then their side arms will be either the long saber or the spear. So they will engage the enemy with the crossbow first. Subsequently, if it comes down to close quarters combat, then they will have to fight with their spear or the sword. Now in the crossbow manual, the Master Cheng said that because the spear is so long, so they need something shorter to complement the strength and weaknesses of the different length. So every swordsman will accompany a spearman on his left and right. Okay, so we will look at some of the variation of the formation in the next picture. For the first variation, you can see from the picture here on the top picture is a spear, then sword, and then the spear, and sword, and then the spear. So in this case, the number of swordsmen is actually double the number of the spearmen. Okay, so and in every spearman will have two swordsmen accompanying them on his left and right. Okay, so in case the enemy gets too near, the spearman will become defenseless. That's when the swordsman will jump into action to defend the spearman. Okay, but of course, with its long length, the spearman will be the first to engage the enemy. In any case, so the swordsman's job is to prevent the spearman from being closed in by the enemy. So if we were to follow this variation, the very first stance in the manual is actually the mutual draw stance, whereby two swordsmen draw each other's sword because their sword is so long. Okay, so this makes sense. If they are following this variation, then they are able to use the mutual draw stance to draw each other's sword. In the next variation, you can see that the number of spearmen and number of swordsmen are the same. So there will be a spearman followed by a swordsman, spearman, swordsman, spearman, swordsman, spearman, swordsman, and it goes on. Okay, so in this variation, so the swordsman is actually by himself. Then he will make use of the second stance in the manual, which is the draw sword stance, to draw his own sword by himself. Okay, so in any case, if for this variation, there will still be a swordsman on the spearman's left and right. Okay, but then every spearman will have to, in a way, share the swordsman. Whereas in the previous variation, every spearman has two swordsmen for himself to guard his left and right. But in this case, there may be some sharing going on. If I'm using the Berry Head stance, so I will be exposing the left side of my body, and the enemy spear comes into my left. Okay, so now the spear comes in. Okay, I will deflect to the left, and now I will step in to cut down the enemy. Okay, so this is the
this is the technique that's documented for the bury head stance. If I'm on the right side of my spearman, I'll be in the enter cave stance, which I will have the blade on my forearm. So let's say right now the enemy spear attacks in. Okay, I will deflect upwards. Okay, and in this case I can still grab the enemy's blade. Now, important thing is that my sword is now at my wrist area. Okay, I do not do this. If I do this, I risk cutting my own spearman. Okay, so this my blade stay here and I move. Okay, so you can see that my wrist becomes the pivot point. I move. Okay, and then now I can cut the enemy. Okay, so this will be a much safer option than if I do this. Okay, if I swing, I may hit my own spearman. Okay, so once again, my wrist is the pivot point. Okay, and I go, and now I can cut the enemy.
Now, the mystery of the anti-cave and the bury head stances can actually be solved easily if you were to just consider yourself as a swordsman standing in formation, okay, along with your fellow teammates, okay, who are carrying the spear. Okay, so overall, bury head stance is used to deflect the incoming enemy spear to the left. So generally speaking, this can be used just about any time. Okay. Now the difference is that the anti-cave stance is to deflect the enemy spear upwards. Okay. So you must never deflect the enemy spear to the right. You can only either deflect to the left or upwards, but never deflect the enemy spear, the incoming enemy spear, to the right. The next videos will show you why.
The theory here is that for the long saber, we will only deflect either to the left or upwards, but never towards the right, because then we will be bringing the enemy spear towards my own spearman, which is not good for my spearman, right? So let's say, now let's observe what will happen if I were to deflect to the right. So if I'm holding a bury head stance, the enemy spear comes in. If I deflect towards the right, I am bringing the spear to my spearman. Okay, so in this case, the enemy spear is attacking towards his back, towards the back of my spearman. It's not as convenient or easy for him to block or defend himself. But now let's say my spearman comes over to my left. Okay, so now let's say I do what I intended to do, which is deflecting to the left. So enemy spear comes in. Okay, I deflect to the left. Okay, now notice that my spearman has his spear in front of him. Okay, in this case, even if he needs to defend himself, it's at least more convenient for him to do so.
And so there you have it. This is the reason why the author has to separate these two stances into the bury head and the anti-cave stance, into two different stances, even though they look similar and they can actually do each other's job equally well. Okay, thank you for your support for the past 9 years. I hope you like this video. If you have any questions further, feel free to drop it in the comments or email me. Alright, thank you.